Hello everyone, my name is Star, or you can call me Dr.StarRx, and today I'm going to be sharing you the journey of how I got into veterinary school while also playing Division I football. So with that being said, please stay tuned. So to start things off, I just want to give you all a quick little synopsis of my athletic career. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll say that for another video down the road later, maybe like a full, Division I football story video, something like that, if y'all are interested in that. But I'm going to give you a quick synopsis from high school to college. So in high school, I was a multi-sport athlete. Towards the end of my senior year, I was getting recruited to play football at a lot of different schools, mostly Division I FCS, Division IIs, Division IIIs, and one FBS school. And long story short, I ended up at Morehead State University, a place where, if you're not familiar, is smack dab in the middle of nowhere in eastern Kentucky. And the name Morehead honestly reminds me of a little bit of an innuendo, but regardless of all that, that's where I ended up going to. Because one, they had a pre-veterinary program, and two, they offered me the opportunity to play Division I football. So it had the best of both worlds what I was looking for in terms of college. So I played a total of about 3 seasons at Morehead, 2017, 2018, 2019. Had a pretty good freshman campaign, started as a true freshman, and then sophomore year I was actually even elected defensive captain. And I forgot to mention I did play free safety, that was my position. And then my junior year, that was my actually last season playing with the team. For circumstances, and also the next following year, COVID happened, so there really wasn't no football the next season anyway, at least for Morehead State, because a lot of Division I FCS schools were not playing that season, that fall 2020 season, and Morehead State was one of them. And also on top of that, I was slated to graduate early that fall of 2020, and I wanted to focus on just going to veterinary school, amongst the pandemic and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit of a brief synopsis of my athletic career. Later on, if y'all want to see a video of the full story, I will gladly go into detail about it. I think it's something cool to share. So that being said, let's get into what y'all really want to hear about, which is how I balanced everything, being a student, pre-vet student, and also being a Division I athlete. So real quick, I'm gonna throw some numbers at y'all, because I want to give y'all an understanding of how busy it is to be a athlete in general, a college athlete in general. This is according to ncpanow.org. Division I college athletes spend a median of 32 hours per week in their sport, including 40 hours per week for baseball players and 42 hours per week for football players during the season, respectively. And I can vouch for this. This is actually very true. At Morehead, our week started on Sunday, and it's more of a relaxing recovery type of day. We would have, rehab, in the training room. We also have a little bit of weightlifting session, nothing strenuous, just something to loosen up muscles, things like that. Then we have like a walkthrough, and then have film, and not in that particular order, but you get what I'm saying. That's what we basically do that day on Sunday, and that would take about maybe 3 to 4 hours. Monday was our off day, and Tuesday was like the beginning of our work week in terms of preparing for the next game that following Saturday. So after class, we will have meetings for about 2 hours, special teams, position meetings, and then we have practice for another 2 hours and 30 minutes. And then that will be the same kind of schedule. And I'm not including weightlifting in the morning or training room sessions in terms of, recovery and things like that. And that will be the same schedule from Tuesday to Thursday. So you're talking about 4 hours and basically 30 minutes of us mandatory have to be there, and I take it back. And once again, I'm not including weightlifting and training room. And that's for 3 days until Thursday. And then Friday, depending if we're traveling or if we're playing at home, I include traveling time, on a bus for 5-6 hours or on a flight for 3 hours. And then obviously the game day on Saturday is a 24-hour event. So if you calculate all that, you're gonna get about 40 plus hours. So as you can see, it's very busy being a college athlete, and on top of that, trying to maintain your grades to get into a sort of graduate school, in my case, veterinary school. But I will say this, it's very doable, and I'm gonna give y'all a little gist of how I handled that. So one thing I figured out would be very important going in, and also one thing I developed, was my ability to plan. Because one thing about being an athlete, your days are kind of already set out for you. You have lifting in the morning, you have rehab at this time, you have practice, film, meetings at this time, and then you have places in between where you have to fit in studying, getting some food, things like that. And if you want to be a little bit social, but you basically have to have a mental checklist of things you're going through every single day. And that's one thing I had to really get good at, was planning. So if I had practice at this time, maybe afterwards I can get my studying in and still get a good night's rest. Or maybe at lunch I get my studying in. Or between classes during the day I get my studying in. So you have to figure it out I had to figure out that basically in terms of planning, in terms of, getting the grades and also maintaining on the field as well. And it's different. It varied from year to year. My freshman year, I didn't have to really study that much because the classes weren't as hard. And then going to sophomore, junior, then the academic rigor kind of increased. So I had to find, tune my studying habits and things like that. But planning is very important. And another thing to go with planning is also in terms of planning out your year too. Because, for veterinary school, you have to get certain many animal experience hours. And I wasn't like a regular student where I can just, go to class and then leave class and go work at the local clinic down the road and get some shadowing hours. I couldn't necessarily do that because I had football, I had sports, I had other obligations. So planning in terms of the breaks, like summer breaks, winter breaks, were very pivotal in terms of me getting my hours. Pivotal, not pivotable. Okay. But anyway, you get where I'm coming from. So I had to definitely plan accordingly in terms of getting my hours during the breaks. Also, whenever you're traveling, one thing I also got accustomed to doing was bringing my schoolwork with me on the travel, especially to the games, things like that. Now, I wouldn't focus on things like, my schoolwork while the game. You got to learn how to compartmentalize. But I would bring my laptop, things like, books on the trip with me. And if I need to, I would study like during the bus ride or flight to where we're going to, because most of everybody's sleeping, so there's nothing really going on. And then once we get to location, then I lock in and get ready for the game, because it's, once again, it's all day thing until you leave and hopefully get the dub. So that's another thing I keep in mind, bringing your work with you, bring your schoolwork with you. And I mentioned it briefly, but another big thing that I learned how to do well is you gotta learn how to compartmentalize. For example, let's say I came out of organic chemistry, I have a test, matter of fact, and let's say I didn't do too hot, at least I feel like I didn't do hot on it. You know how you feel whenever you take a test and like, man, I didn't do too well on it. You feel kind of down a little bit, but right after that, I have to go to practice. So I can't take that with me to the practice field, you know what I'm saying? I have to kind of leave it back there and still focus. Also, you hear that little jingle, that Stella running around like a little crazy cat. But anyway, I can't take it to the practice field. So, because if I did take it to the practice field and it affected my performance, then I'm going to get cussed at by a very slew of different words. And then on top of that, I'm not going to be done with the cussing out. Next day in film, coach is definitely going to cuss me out and roast me like a barbecue chicken on a Sunday afternoon at the church. I don't know. If you're black, you get where I'm coming from. If you go to a lot of church functions, you eat a lot of food. But anyway, so you gotta learn how to compartmentalize. And even socially speaking, I learned how to compartmentalize. My freshman year had a situation with, not really a situation, but had a little heartbreak my freshman year. And the next day, I was still thinking about it, but I had to get to practice. And I was a starter, so I was like, I can't bring that with me on the field. And if I have to, I'll cry about it later, but not during practice, because that just won't look good. But that being said, that's really it. One thing I just want to leave for y'all is that from the outside looking in, it looks like, man, because a lot of people are like, how would you do both football and pre-veterinary? And I'm like, first, the grace of God. I would not be able to do this without God. And two, it's really very doable. I believe you can do anything you put your mind to, no matter how difficult or hard it can be. So yeah, I don't really take a lot of, pride in that, because like I said, anyone can do it. You just got to believe you can do it. Hopefully this video gave y'all some insight. Maybe if you're an athlete that's trying to get into veterinary school or even medical school. I had some teammates, particularly one teammate wanted to go to medical school, and other teammates want to go to medical school, and they're right now in medical school, and they went through the same thing I went through. So once again, it's very doable. But appreciate you taking time today to watch this video. With that being said, God bless you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.